Hey everybody, Merry Christmas. Hopefully you had a really great Christmas. Got a little bit of downtime after a big push for fourth quarter. How did the sales go for you? Hopefully they went very well. And right now it's, time to relax and rest a little bit, but yet at the same time you need to start thinking about the new year and begin thinking about your goals. I did spend a lot of time setting goals. I did my first round of goal setting for the entire year back in November before the big push for fourth quarter even happened, before things were to get really, really busy with the holiday season. And then I went back through it again yesterday and started to define things out for Q1 more specifically, not just the entire year. This does take a while. It can take a few days for you to do goal setting for an entire year, but it really may be best for you to focus in on one quarter at a time, because whatever results happen in Q1 is going to determine what your focus is for Q2, and you may have to change direction. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you can set your goals for the year, but be flexible. You really may need to set them one quarter at a time. And that's where you're going to be putting in your detailed execution of how am I actually going to conquer these goals. So in going through this process, there were some questions about how do you execute your goals and get them listed out on your calendar to make sure that you're actually going to meet your goals. So writing down your goals is great. That's one thing, but it doesn't really help you put them into action. In order for you to put them into action, you need to take it a step further, and you need to write down all of the tasks. Well, first of all, every project that you need to complete in order to reach those goals, and all of the tasks within each of those projects. So you have to break everything down. After that, you need to make a decision. Is this something that I need to do, or is this something that I can delegate to someone else to do? And when is the due date for this to be done? Because if you don't set a date of when this needs to be done by or accomplished by, then it will just be on your to-do list and it may never get done. So kind of assigning out a due date for everything does help keep you on track. And if you have a team, it will help keep your team on track as well, so that everyone knows when we need to have these things done by. So you're doing all of your planning, and you are getting your tasks written out. You're assigning them to either yourself or to someone else, breaking those tasks down into one step at a time, and then you are assigning due dates for all of those. So then you want to get out your calendar and start working backwards from your calendar. And what I did was with the different projects, I took the calendar and I said, okay, here is when this has to happen, is on this date. This is the end goal of this project to be completed by this date. Then work backwards on your calendar from there and start looking through all of your tasks that you wrote out and start assigning those tasks to different dates, working backwards through your calendar. So for example, if I have something that needs to be completed by February 5th, then what I'm going to do is say, okay, my due date for that project to be finished is February 5th, and February 4th, there needs to be this task completed. February whatever date, you need to start working backwards, and you get all the way up through January. Then you can see, is that a realistic expectation? Is it possible for me to even have that project completed by that date? Do I have a lot more tasks here that need to be done than what there is truly time for on the calendar? And it's going to hold you accountable, but keep you realistic to make sure that you really are setting some realistic goals. So working backwards through your calendar is very powerful, so that you don't end up with projecting that this project will take me 6 weeks to complete, and it's really a 10-week project. what's happened is you have a realistic expectation and you're going to be upset if that goal isn't accomplished by that time, when the reality is it's not possible. There just isn't enough time there available to execute it out fully because there's a lot of tasks involved. So it's going to help you to understand what is your goals and are they even realistic by getting your calendar out and listing out your projects, going backwards through your calendar, all of the tasks that need to be completed and the dates of exactly when they need to be completed by. And that's how you can control all of your projects. And you don't want to take on any more projects than what you can handle. So using your calendar is powerful for you to understand that as well, of saying, wow, okay, so if I work on this project for 1 to 4 hours a day, and I've got all of these tasks that need to be done on this project, do I really have time to work on 2 projects at once or 3 projects? Which one's going to take me more time than the others? How much time do I have set aside to complete that project? Is it just 1 hour, or do I need to be working on it for 2 hours and go from there? So your calendar holds you accountable in that way as well. Not only is this a realistic expectation to complete this project by this date, and how many projects can I realistically work on at the same time? Am I taking on too much that can really be truly handled? Now, if you are delegating these tasks out to someone else, then you can probably take on more projects and work on more projects at once, because it isn't really you working on those projects. But you do have to sit down and take the time to do the planning, write down all of the tasks, assign the tasks to the correct people, and have a due date by when each of those tasks need to be done to ensure that that project will be wrapped up and completed by a certain time frame. So you do need to set a time frame onto every single goal that you have, which is usually based around some kind of project that you're working on in order for you to reach that goal. So if you are working on a goal of certainly a certain amount of revenue and sales, then you need to make sure that you've got all of your projects listed out of what you're actually going to do in order to get there, to make that certain dollar amount of revenue and sales, and then work backwards through your projects. Get all your projects down on paper. Write out all of the tasks that have to be done day by day by day. Schedule them out, have them a due date assigned to every single one of them, and that's going to help you understand if it's a doable project. Can I realistically get it done by that time? And you know that you have time set aside every single day in order to complete that little tiny task that is your next step to get you closer to your goal and being able to win your goal. So what does this look like? You can do this on a piece of paper. And what I would suggest is that you keep your projects separate. You have one project per piece of paper so that you can list out all of your tasks for that project on that same piece of paper and not get them confused or mixed up. You can also put your due dates next to them and work back through your calendar on each of those separate pieces of paper. Another way of doing this would be through a spreadsheet, which I actually prefer. You can use an Excel spreadsheet, but Google Sheets works very well. The reason why I prefer to use Google Sheets better is because if you have a team, the other people on your team can have that shared with them so that they can see what it is that needs to get done and completed by when. The other reason for why the Google Sheets works great is because it's with you all the time. You can just look up Google Drive on your phone, wherever you're at, and you can pull up that spreadsheet and be able to see what it is that I need to do to complete the project, or what it is that someone else needs to do in order to get this project wrapped up. So you can have that as kind of your command center, would be your spreadsheets. So having it in Google is very nice because you carry that around with you wherever you go with your phone or any kind of a tablet or whatever it is that you use for technology on a daily basis to help you keep track of what's actually happening and going on and what needs to get done. It also stops you from just guessing and just waking up and saying, well, it's time to go to work now, but I don't know what to work on because I haven't defined that. I don't know what I'm working on. And you don't want to waste 15 minutes of your time just trying to decide what is it that I'm even working on today. You've already got it down. It's documented. And you already know when it needs to be done by. So naturally in your mind, through just, a little bit of psychology, is going to pull you to want to get it done because it's already listed. So whenever you've got your list made out and you've got a date written down of when this task needs to be done by, you're already going to be pulled psychologically to want to get it done. And probably this is what happens to me is I notice myself finishing it before the due date because I just want to. I know that that date is coming up, so I actually stay ahead of the game a little bit. And that's the power behind using this kind of a method. So use your spreadsheets. I now use Airtable. And I use Airtable more than I use the spreadsheets, and I have an entire base set up for this. So I have one spreadsheet that is what I'm doing for today, and then I have my projects listed out on a separate tab within the same base. So those are all a different tab, a separate spreadsheet with a different tab at the bottom, or in Airtable, it's actually a different you label the whole spreadsheet separately, and that appears at the top. Have one for each project, have one for what you're working on for the day so that you could be planning the day before of what is the task that has to be done for today according to your due dates. You can look across all of your different tabs or spreadsheets for your projects to see the due dates on each one, get them in one spot, consolidate it to your today. This is what it is for my list to work on for today. Inside of Airtable, I can also have the multiple select chosen to where I can select it as, is it something for me to do or is it something for me to delegate? Or is it something for me to just to make a decision about? I just need to take the time to think about it and make a decision and that's it. And then do my next step, okay? You can have a place there for assignment, where you can assign it to a team member and pull up the team member's name doing the multiple select tool for that record in Airtable. You can put in due dates. You can use different views. So I do like to add in a calendar view. I have one spreadsheet set up that is calendar view where I can place everything on a calendar and be able to see that calendar at any time. So we've got the view of a calendar, but then we can also look at the view of a spreadsheet as well for the due dates on everything. You can have the Kanban view. So if your team members prefer looking at that, they don't like to look at the grid view, which is a spreadsheet view. They like the Kanban view. They can look at it as these little cards, and they can move those cards across to it's in progress. And it is now completed, it is now done, so that you can see where they're at and working on that task in order to complete the project as well. And it keeps you on track, keeps them on track and held accountable. And then you are able to keep your planning going, knowing where we're at with this project and what can we be doing to be planning ahead for the next project, so that you can now work in a state of flow where things aren't being procrastinated. You're not working on things at the last minute with a sudden push to have to get it done now. You don't want to do that to yourself. You're going to wear out, you're going to burn out, and you don't want to be doing that to your team members at all. They will choose to no longer want to work for you if you treat them in that way of, we suddenly now have to accomplish all of this and there's no time to get it done, so you're going to have to spend 12 hours today working, and that's maybe not what they can be doing in their lives. So you have to think beyond yourself, is a big reason for why you need to set things up in this way. So with your spreadsheet, and I'm using Airtable, I have my projects listed out as separate spreadsheets. You can name them on different tabs. I have my today. I have time tracking of how much time has it really been taking me to complete this project. I think it's important to do because without that information, I may overestimate or underestimate how long it really does take to complete that project. And I may need to do a similar project, and I can now know for sure and define it as it takes about this amount of time to complete. And then I can adjust the schedule accordingly to that. So your projects on each of your tabs, spreadsheets, are basically your to-do lists for that project. It's your tasks, marking them all out and being able to define a due date for everything because you're working backwards through your calendar. And is it something for you to do? Is it something for you to delegate out to someone else to do? And what is the status of it? That either you can change that status or a team member can change the statuses. It's in progress, or if it's not started yet, then leave it blank. If it has been started and it's in progress, mark it as in progress. If it is done or completed, mark it as done or completed. That way you and your team members know if that task has been done, and you can try and stay on target for your due dates so that you can get to your end result of your project and hopefully meet your goals. So have your calendar in place. Anything that needs to be done monthly, you can have that in a separate spreadsheet. I do. I have things that have to be done every single month on a repeated basis. I have that as just one tab in the spreadsheet. I list out the day of when that's due, of when it needs to be completed, and what I'm doing. Trying to think of anything else that you could be putting in your base. I have a calendar. Oh, your revenue goals. That's really important for you to have in there as well. So what I did for my revenue goals was I did all of the months, all 12 months on the spreadsheet. And I did it for 2019 for revenue goals. And I wrote down, I have different columns for each thing. And you could have your column set up for all of your different streams of income. And in that column, you're going to keep track of, this is your tracker, keep track of the money, the revenue that has come in for that exact income stream. So the more income streams you have, the more columns you're going to need to open up. So for example, if it is merch by Amazon, there is a column for that. Here's a revenue that came in. If it is selling Amazon FBA, a separate column for that. Here's a revenue that came in for that. What are your sales? If it is eBay, if it's Etsy, if it is another print on demand like Redbubble, if it is your own Shopify store, set up separate columns for that. And that's all going to be your total revenue that has come in sales. And then you want to have another column. And this is your total monthly goal for your revenue sales, whatever that is. And what's nice about Airtable is it actually, it sums it for you. It does all of the addition for you. And it's different from a spreadsheet with Excel or with Google Sheets, where you have to actually use the sum formula, the sum function. You don't actually need to do that in Airtable. It does it for you. So you can have that where it's all added up, and then you can see, did I meet my monthly revenue goal? Another column that I created was my quarterly goal. So I have a monthly goal of total revenue, and then I have a quarterly goal for total revenue. Did I meet my quarterly goal? How far away from it am I? And then I have another column set up for the quarter. Is it Q1? Is it Q2? So January, February, March, those are all separate lines within the spreadsheet for everything. And then I just place Q1 next to each of those so that when I do some sorting, or if I want to group those fields together, I can hit the group function. I can see all of Q1. Did I hit the monthly goals? Did I hit the quarterly goal? Therefore, it will help you to see, are you on track for reaching your yearly goal? So the only way for you to hit your yearly goal is to break it down. Break it down to a quarterly goal. Break it down to a monthly goal. Break it down to your projects that need to be completed in order to reach those, your monthly and your quarterly and yearly goals. Take your project, break it down into specific tasks. Assign those tasks to either you or someone else with a due date. Get your calendar out, work backwards from your goal of when that project should be completed and wrapped up. Work backwards on your calendar. It'll keep it realistic. Can it actually be completed? Is there enough time being given to complete it without having to work 12-hour days or get 4 hours of sleep, or even having to work weekends if you don't want to be working weekends? Is it realistic with the time that I have available to do? That's what your calendar is going to tell you. And then you are going to be working in a better state of flow, because you're not trying to do the impossible. You're doing what you can possibly do as a human being, seeing that you have marked out time in your calendar for this to get done. So you can set all of that up from a spreadsheet, and then of course you can mark it right into your calendar as well if you want. But what I do is I have the due dates on my spreadsheet, and I look at all my projects and all the dates, and I consolidate the dates that are coming up, and I put that on my to-do list for today. And I focus then on only those tasks that have to be done now in order for me to reach my monthly goal, my quarterly goal, and my yearly goal. This helps me to execute, to make sure everything's getting done that needs to get done. And then you are tracking at the same time. You're able to track everything. And I go as far as time tracking. So I may have decided that maybe in my calendar for writing that task down and giving it a due date, I may have thought that it was going to take me 4 hours to complete that task. And so I need to set aside 4 hours one day to do it. Okay. What may happen is it only took you 2 hours. So you want to make sure that you have a spreadsheet set up for time tracking where you have that task written down and you write down that it only took you 2 hours to complete. Now you can adjust. Now you can make adjustments a lot easier and be more realistic about what you can do. So with that in mind, then I may say, wow, well, I've got all of these other tasks that I need to complete this quarter. They're the same task. And I bet that it's only going to take me 2 hours to do those as well. So what I may do is I may double up and do 2 of those on one day because I have the time available, or there may be a day where I just don't. I've only got 2 hours to work on that task, so I just do 1. So if that's the case, then you might actually be working ahead, and you might be able to work ahead and get some extra bonus work done before the quarter is over. And you may end up not only meeting your goals, but exceeding it, going way past your revenue goals or whatever your goals are. And that's why, as you see, well, I overestimated how much time it was actually going to take me to do it. The same thing could happen to you where you may underestimate how much time it takes you. And one of those tasks may take you 8 hours to complete, and you have now way too many of those tasks of what's realistic for you to actually complete within that month and within the full quarter. That would be important for you to know. And the only way for you to know that is to track your time, the amount of time that you're actually spending on doing that task. Now you can do better projection and forecasting of what is it that I need to be doing in order for me to reach these goals. So that's basically it. Work backwards from everything. So it's keep the end in mind, keep your end result in mind of what your goals are. Start working backwards, work backwards through your goals, whatever it is, with your yearly, your quarterly, your monthly. Now list out the projects, be realistic about them. I probably would not do any more than 3 projects at once. It gets to be too much. And your high focus is on just 3 projects for that entire quarter that you're actually going to do, and that's it. And then list out the tasks that all have to be completed for each of those projects. If there's a lot of tasks, it may be that you can only focus on 1 project or 2 projects that quarter. And that is it. And that's okay, because you can still meet your goals of what you're looking for. Or you may have to reset your goals of what's realistic to you. Or you may realize that I need to hire somebody so that I can delegate some of that out to someone else to do. And I can teach them and train them how to do it in order for you to get where you want to go a little bit faster. So pay attention to all of those things by working backwards through your calendar, through your projects, through your tasks, assign due dates, and then all you have to do from one day to the next is look at what is the next task on that project, put it over on my due today list, and that's it. That's all I focus on. I don't worry about the task number 20 until I need to get to that point of worrying on it. I'm only worried about the task that needs to be done today, the step that I'm on right now. And it gives you peace of mind because you've already got all the steps and the tasks listed out. You've already got it scheduled into your calendar. You've already got it planned out. You know that it's realistic. You know that it can be done by either you or someone else. Therefore, you feel pretty good about the fact that, you know what, I think I might actually meet these goals. You know, I set the goals. I might actually do it and meet the goals. Why? Because I have a system in place to be able to actually do all of the tasks that I need to do in order to meet those goals. And I am tracking at the same time to see how close I am, where am I at, how much time am I spending, so that you can make adjustments when necessary. And all of that is going to give you very, very valuable information for when you need to plan for Q2 and do it all over again. This is why it is okay for you to set up yearly goals. They may have to be adjusted, your yearly goals, as you go along, because whatever happens in Q1 is going to give you so much valuable information and feedback of what you can realistically do in Q2, and then again in Q3 and Q4. And the more that you keep doing this quarterly with your planning and your goal setting, your planning, working back through your calendars, the better you will get at goal setting to begin with. And you are more likely to actually do something to move forward, right? To move forward in your business and to see progress. Sometimes we don't see progress, not because progress isn't happening, because we aren't tracking progress. You're not tracking anything to see, have I made progress or not? So this is a great way for you to tell that I am working on these things every single day, and I am reaching my goals, and therefore I am making progress, and so on. So you can keep encouraged and keep motivated in order to continue reaching your goals and the dreams that you have for yourself and your business. So I hope this helps you with your goal setting and planning for Q1, for every quarter, and even for the year. You really need to have a system in place. I did not have a very good system in place last year, and I realized that that was a big reason why I wasn't getting where I needed to be was just simply that. And I needed to work back through the calendar in order to make sure that I really can complete these tasks. All of the tasks are listed out. And I didn't do that. I was tracking. I was doing some tracking of revenue and sales, but I think things could have been much better and far better if I would have done these extra steps of working backwards through everything. So I encourage you to do that, because I think that you will get where you want to go and where you want to be a lot faster. It's going to accelerate things for you because it's clear and it's focused. You have direction. You create a system. Now you work the system. That's all you have to do. And you know exactly what needs to be done every single day. You don't have to waste your time guessing. Therefore, you may find yourself working less in order to make more and accomplish more. You're now working less. You're working smarter instead of harder. And I think that's the ultimate goal for everyone. Okay, so that's how you can accomplish your goals. The Merch by Amazon Pinterest 10-Day Challenge has been released. It is out there, ready for anyone who is needing to get into Pinterest marketing, especially with your products. If that is a goal that you have set up for this year, this upcoming year, then definitely take the challenge. It'll take you 10 days to make it through. And right in there, I show you how to set up your Google Calendar if you use that in order to get things on your calendar of the tasks that you need to complete every single month in order to make sure that you really are consistent in doing this, so that you don't start out really great. You take the challenge and you start out great and you say, wow, the first 3 months are spectacular, and then it just drops off the edge because you didn't put in your calendar something that you need to keep doing. And you didn't work backwards through your calendar with all the tasks that you need to be done in order to make sure that everything is being taken care of by you or someone else. And therefore you will reach your goals and be able to meet your goals and stay on track. So that's how you can do this. Definitely your Pinterest marketing needs to be in your tasks and in your calendar and in your projects for every month and every quarter. And therefore you will get your goals met for the end of the year. For the people last year who started taking their Pinterest marketing more seriously in January, they really saw the benefits in fourth quarter, where the people who had been saving all of those pins then acted on it in fourth quarter, and they went back into their into the pins that they collected and saved in their boards, and they went shopping and they took action and they did it. So that's where you need to start, is right now. You need to start in Q1. That's where your Q4 planning begins, is actually in Q1. What you do today is going to pay you dividends down the road. Whatever you do today, your investment of your time, your investment of your money will pay you dividends later. But if you don't do anything, you cannot get the dividends. You will not be able to reap the investment of what you are doing. So you need to get those things, those tasks done today, so that you can now receive the dividends that will happen and compound for you over time down the road. So think about the compounding effect as well that can happen there. And that's the snowball effect that happens, where you reap more and more rewards, you get more and more dividends, you get more things that are paid back to you in your business, making it a very, very good investment of your time in the very, very beginning. A real good investment of your time to do. All right, I'll leave you with that today, and be working on your goals. Make sure that you got a plan in place of how you're actually going to execute all the tasks that need to be done to reach your goals, and make sure that you are tracking everything, so that you know if you are getting close or not, any adjustments that need to be made, and how much time is all of these tasks really taking me. Am I setting realistic expectations for myself? All right, have a good rest of your day.